All right, today is probably going to be a gentler day just because I had a huge day yesterday for exercise, physical body work. So yeah, this one's going to be a little more gentle. I'm also feeling a little bit out of it today. I'm not feeling good and in the flow and full of clarity, which is surprisingly often the state that I'm in, and increasingly so. But I still very often have times when I'm just kind of blah. And this physical practice is one of the most reliable tools I have for tuning me back into the present, tuning myself back into my body, which is really useful. So that's what the focus of this is going to be, kind of taking us from a place of maybe blah to in our body, engaged, drawn together into the present moment, but the embodied present moment. Okay, so let's start with our legs wide out. I have my feet pointed about a 45-degree angle outward, feet a little wider than shoulder width, a little wider than shoulder width. And we're gonna start with a forward fold just to stretch the backs of the legs here. So keep your lower back straight and slowly lower down until you feel the stretch in your legs. I like to bring my hands together at my chest. You can do whatever is comfortable for you. And start to slowly move back and forth along the edge of that stretch to keep the muscles engaged. And we're just going to take a few deep breaths here to get settled for the next, however long this ends up being. You actually know how long it'll be because you saw the timestamp, but I am not graced with such privileges. I'll have to find out as I go along. Anyway, so deep breaths. You can widen your legs a little bit and deepen the stretch. Play around with bringing your left arm over to your right foot and getting a stretch through your upper body, through your side body, and bringing your right hand over to your left foot to get the same stretch on the other side, always keeping the active stretch in your legs. You can also play with bending one knee and then the other and rocking side to side. This puts the stretch in the outside of my, kind of just above my ankle. It's a really nice stretch to get. Just opening up this whole range, spending some time. I think part of what leads to being in a state of disconnection, feeling disconnected or kind of blah, as I put it before, is getting into a limited range of motion. We get, or I at least get, I can't speak for everyone, though I think it's fairly universal, and I get into these patterns of movement that are relatively restricted and limited, and when I do this range of motion practice and open up my body with a combination of strength and flexibility, it opens up everything. It opens up everything. All right, let's come to standing. Shake it up a little bit. We're gonna go into a little bit of one leg work, nothing too strenuous, but always good to do. We'll start off on our left foot and lift your right foot up until your knee is at about 90-degree angle. The idea occurred to me recently that I'd like to have twice as much strength as I need to do anything. I'd like to have twice as much ability as what's actually needed, so that anything that is needed, I'll be able to do fully and excellently. And so when I think about just regular life and standing, if I can't stand on one foot for 5 minutes, what am I doing when I stand on 2 feet all day? Is that really a supported position to be in? Standing, if I can't support myself on one leg for 5 minutes, where am I collapsing into when I stand on 2 legs? Anyway, I'm not sure if the logic of that is exactly sound, but I guarantee that if you get really good at standing on one leg and all the stabilizing muscles through your feet and your calves and your hips are all developed, then your daily life will be more supported, just obviously. So that's where I see the giant value of one leg positions. Make sure your glute on your standing leg is activated and you have a strong pillar of support going all the way down into the floor. Breathe, breathe. Maybe you're feeling a bit of a burn, that's great. If it gets too much, you can switch legs, and you can switch as often as you need to. But try to push to the edge. Try to push until to failure almost, until your leg is so tired that it can't stand anymore. That's where muscle growth happens. And you don't always need to do that. You don't need to do that every day, because that's really where you push for muscle growth. You need to also have muscle recovery. But if you're trying to grow your muscles and grow your stability all through your foundation, it's good to hold them for as long as you can. All right, come into a slightly different position here. If you're still on your same foot, I like to bring my lifted leg straight back, and it does have a tendency to open the hip outward. Open the hip outward, and that's a perfectly good pose. It activates certain muscles, but if you shift your hip down so that they're square and you're facing directly forward, then you can move through the natural range of motion that leg will be getting in daily life. All right, switch feet. Nice. I did this for hours yesterday, so my legs are very tired. All right, left knee now is up, and just come to a balanced pose and get still. Again, I like to bring my hands to the heart. I just find it centering. There's an opposition of energy pushing toward the center of my hands. And the standing leg is a strong pillar from the glute to the foot. If you want a fun little challenge, you can try closing your eyes for intervals of, well, as long as you can. It makes balancing a lot more challenging, and you have to be much more aware of the stabilizing muscles. I can't do it for very long. All right, that top leg hip flexor is starting to get tired. Let's shift toward the back, bringing your lifted leg straight back. And you can do some bending in your standing knee, only as far as is supported. Be careful of your knees here. And your legs are going to be different. I find that I'm more inclined towards certain types of movement on different legs. Like in this leg, standing on my right leg, I find I'm doing more leaning forward and down. And I'm early enough in this that I think I still have a lot of muscle imbalances, and I think my body naturally I can naturally feel into my body where I need to grow on this leg to get even support versus where I need to grow on the other leg, because my muscle imbalances are different on both sides, as they will be for you. So whatever movement feels like it needs development on this side, it's okay if it's different from the other side. As you strengthen and as your strength lifts up, it's like, imagine a tide lifting up it'll eventually overflow into the other places that aren't developed enough, and the whole thing will fill up evenly. So developed strength strategy is less important at the beginning. It's more important that you just develop strength and grow and grow and grow. And then as your strength is more and more, you can even it out so that it's all balanced and supported. All right, man, I'm talking today. All right, let's come down to a seat and just butterfly pose, cobbler pose. Oh no, did that mean it stopped filming? Oh no, it didn't. Wow, okay. My phone just told me that it has a little battery, that's all. It's okay. Yeah, so this is a nice stretch for your glutes outside of your legs. Maybe you can tell that my mind is a little all over the place. I'm a little less settled and calm and equanimous. Is equanimous the right form for that word? Equanimity? Equanimous? It kind of doesn't sound right, but I think it is right. Anyway. That's okay. That's what this practice is for. It's for a day like today when I am a little less centered, a little less like a clear stream, and a little more like a muddy stream. Yeah. All right. I really like this stretch. It's a good modification for this butterfly cobbler pose thing we're in. If you put your right elbow onto your right knee, and then push away from your left knee with your left hand, you can move into a nice stretch through your side body, through your hips. And you can find different angles on it, which feel really good. Part of what is so great about stretching is that it just feels good. You get to, especially if you're putting in the work, if you're putting in strength work, as you stretch those same muscles, you're releasing them, you're relaxing them, it feels really good. Which is why we do both, stretching and strengthening, and actually we do them at the same time, for the most part. At least I do, and when I say we, I'm using not really just as I at this point. All right, come on to a seat with your legs out in front, and we're gonna nice little bit of a stretch through the back of your legs. So start with your legs bent as much as they need to be, and flex your toes, and then slowly lean forward and grab your toes. So bring your legs as bent as they need to be so that you can grab your toes. Try to keep your lower back straight, so it's not your back that's bending, but the actual natural bending place between your upper body and lower body, your hips. And then maybe slowly inch the heels out bit by bit until you start to feel a stretch. Keep your hips square, your feet square. Find that stretch and lean into it. Find a good edge, and we're gonna hold here for a little while. You can do some pedaling, but maybe try to find some stillness in this one, and we're gonna stay here for a few minutes. A lot of this process is about developing patience, at least for me, because that's somewhere that I'm lacking. And one thing I've realized about this process is that it's a long one, and that I don't want to be fit as fast as I can. I want to be fit as thoroughly as I can. I want to build such a thorough foundation of strength and range of motion that I'm still building it in 10 years, and it's getting more and more thoroughly integrated into me. And that will serve as a foundation for everything I do in my life going forward. That's the purpose of this practice that we're doing. So, every day doesn't have to be perfect, but I find it is really helpful to put in something every day. Some days I do more strength-based workouts. I really push my boundaries on, I push to failure. I go until I can't do anymore for certain movements like push-ups or pull-ups, or, well, not so much, but I can only do a couple of pull-ups, but hanging is one that I do a lot of and I think is fantastic. Man, I wonder if I'm going to put this on the internet. I'm just talking so much. This is such a great stretch. I don't know if I'll ever be not tight in this stretch. There's always an edge I can find that feels tight and that feels good to stretch. And if you incorporate a little bit of twist in your upper body, you get that outer leg stretch where it's so tight. Yeah, I barely need to lean forward. Not at all, actually. If I straighten my right leg and turn towards the right, if my legs and my upper body form a 90-degree angle, that's a deep stretch already. Really good. All right, other side. Well, in your own time, you know. Let the stretch take the form you want it to take. That's what this is all about, hey? You know, I like following formats. I like following people who know what they're doing. Not that I'm one of them, exactly. But I'm all about learning how to listen to your own body and feel into exactly what you need and how you need to support yourself to build the foundations at this level so that you can start building the next level. Because you can't go on to the next level until you've figured out what foundations you need to lay first, and then lay those foundations. And laying the foundations isn't always the most exciting work. Although I actually don't know about that. I like laying foundations. All right. That's it. I got nothing else. I don't want to do it anymore. Goodbye, turkey. So long.